This stop is Quinton Road and Coney Island Avenue. Next stop, Kings Highway and Coney Island Avenue. Transfers available to B82 and B82 SBS. This stop is Kings Highway and Coney Island Avenue. Next stop, Kings Highway and East 13th Street. This stop is Kings Highway and East 13th Street. Next stop, Kings Highway and East 16th Street. Transfers available to the B&Q trains and B82 SBS. This stop is Kings Highway and East 16th Street. Next stop, Kings Highway and East 18th Street. This stop is Kings Highway and East 18th Street. Next stop, Kings Highway and Ocean Avenue. Transfer available to B82 SBS. This stop is Kings Highway and Ocean Avenue. Next stop, Kings Highway and East 22nd Street. This stop is Kings Highway and East 22nd Street. Next stop, Kings Highway and Bedford Avenue. This stop is Kings Highway and Bedford Avenue. Next stop, Kings Highway and East 27th Street. This stop is Kings Highway and East 27th Street. Next stop, Kings Highway and East 29th Street. This stop is Kings Highway and East 29th Street. Next stop, Kings Highway and Nostrand Avenue. Transfers available to BM4, B44 and B44 SBS. This stop is Kings Highway and Nostrand Avenue. Next stop, Kings Highway and Avenue N. This stop is Kings Highway and Avenue N. Next stop, Kings Highway and New York Avenue. This stop is Kings Highway and New York Avenue. Next stop, Kings Highway and Fraser Square. This stop is Kings Highway and Fraser Square. Next stop, Kings Highway and East 37th Street. This stop is Kings Highway and East 37th Street. Next stop, Kings Highway and Flatbush Avenue. Transfers available to B9, B41, B41 Limited and Q35. This stop is Kings Highway and Flatbush Avenue. Next stop, Kings Highway and East 40th Street. This stop is Kings Highway and East 40th Street. Next stop, Kings Highway and Avenue K. This stop is Kings Highway and Avenue K. Next stop, Kings Highway and Avenue J. This stop is Kings Highway and Avenue J. Next stop, Kings Highway and Avenue I. This stop is Kings Highway and Avenue I. Next stop, Kings Highway and Schenectady Avenue. This stop is Kings Highway and Schenectady Avenue. Next stop, Kings Highway and Avenue H. Transfer available to B6. This stop is Kings Highway and Avenue H. Next stop, Kings Highway and Utica Avenue. Transfers available to B46 and B46 SBS. This stop is Kings Highway and Utica Avenue. Next stop, Kings Highway and Glenwood Road. This stop is Kings Highway and Glenwood Road. Next stop, Kings Highway and Preston Court. This stop is Kings Highway and Preston Court. Next stop, Kings Highway and Foster Avenue. This stop is Kings Highway and Foster Avenue. Next stop, Kings Highway and Avenue D. Transfer available to B8. This stop is Kings Highway and Avenue D. Next stop, Kings Highway and Clarendon Road. This stop is Kings Highway and Clarendon Road. Next stop, Kings Highway and Beverly Road. This stop is Kings Highway and Beverly Road. Next stop, Kings Highway and Tilden Avenue. This stop is Kings Highway and Tilden Avenue. Next stop, Kings Highway and Snyder Avenue. This stop is Kings Highway and Snyder Avenue. Next stop, Kings Highway and Church Avenue. Transfers available to B35 and B35 Limited. This stop is Kings Highway and Church Avenue. Next stop, Kings Highway and Linden Boulevard. This stop is Kings Highway and Linden Boulevard. Next stop, Kings Highway and Remsen Avenue. Transfers available to B47 and B17. This stop is Kings Highway and Remsen Avenue. Next stop, Kings Highway and East 92nd Street. This stop is Kings Highway and East 92nd Street. Next stop, Kings Highway and East 94th Street. This stop is Kings Highway and East 94th Street. Next stop, Lenox Road and East 95th Street. This stop is Lenox Road and East 95th Street. Next stop, Lenox Road and Rockaway Parkway. This stop is Lenox Road and Rockaway Parkway. Next stop, Riverdale Avenue and East 98th Street. Transfer available to B15. This stop is Riverdale Avenue and East 98th Street. Next stop, Saratoga Avenue and Riverdale Avenue. This stop is Saratoga Avenue and Riverdale Avenue. Next stop, Saratoga Avenue and Livonia Avenue. Transfer available to the 3 train. This stop is Saratoga Avenue and Livonia Avenue. Next stop, Saratoga Avenue and Dumont Avenue. This stop is Saratoga Avenue and Dumont Avenue. Next stop, Saratoga Avenue and Blake Avenue. This stop is Saratoga Avenue and Blake Avenue. Next stop, Saratoga Avenue and Sutter Avenue. This stop is Saratoga Avenue and Sutter Avenue. Next stop, Saratoga Avenue and Pitkin Avenue. This stop is Saratoga Avenue and Pitkin Avenue. Next stop, East New York Avenue and Strauss Street. Transfer available to B12. This stop is East New York Avenue and Strauss Street. Next stop, East New York Avenue and Amboy Street. This stop is East New York Avenue and Amboy Street. Next stop, Thomas S. Boyland Street and Eastern Parkway. This stop is Thomas S. Boyland Street and Eastern Parkway. Next stop, Thomas S. Boyland Street and St. Mark's Avenue. This stop is Thomas S. Boyland Street and St. Mark's Avenue. Next stop, Thomas S. Boyland Street and Dean Street. This stop is Thomas S. Boyland Street and Dean Street. Next stop, Thomas S. Boyland Street and Atlantic Avenue. This stop is Thomas S. Boyland Street and Atlantic Avenue. Next stop, Thomas S. Boyland Street and Fulton Street. Transfers available to the A and C trains, B25 and M99. This stop is Thomas S. Boyland Street and Fulton Street. Next stop, Thomas S. Boyland Street and MacDougall Street. This stop is Thomas S. Boyland Street and MacDougall Street. Next stop, Thomas S. Boyland Street and Marion Street. This stop is Thomas S. Boyland Street and Marion Street. Next stop, Thomas S. Boyland Street and Bainbridge Street. This stop is Thomas S. Boyland Street and Bainbridge Street. Next stop, Thomas S. Boyland Street and MacDonough Street. This stop is Thomas S. Boyland Street and MacDonough Street. Next stop, Broadway and Halsey Street. Transfers available to the J train, Q24 and B26. This stop is Broadway and Halsey Street. Next stop, Saratoga Avenue and Halsey Street. Transfer available to B26. This stop is Saratoga Avenue and Halsey Street. This is B7 to Bed Stuy Broadway Halsey.